So we're recording now, and welcome to Creative Dandelions. So I am going to pass it over to my friend Shannon, who you were just introduced to, and she's going to get us going here on our Q-tip and cotton ball dandelions. So I'm going to turn off my video now and mute myself, but you'll be seeing Shannon here in just a minute.
All right, hi everybody. So if you can see on your screen, the first one we're going to do is the Q-tip and cotton ball dandelions. So it's pretty self-explanatory and great for the younger ones, and older ones could be creative and take on their own life with it. So first thing we're going to do is just grab a piece of paper. We're just following the picture and have a blue one, but you can be creative and use whatever you would like. We are going to take the cotton ball in the middle and just adhere it to your paper using glue. We're going to use glue dots. You can use gun or white glue, whatever you would like, a piece of tape, whatever works for you. And that's maybe harder than anticipated with cotton ball. All right, so that's pretty self-explanatory. It's what it looks like. So we're going to use the Q-tip sticks just to make the outside of the flower, and we're going to use probably some tape to get those done.
I love watching in the chat. So many people are getting creative already. So that's awesome. Using what you've got is perfect. That's excellent choices. I think we have one more person logging in, so I might pop in again just to say hello to them. But keep those creative ideas coming in the chat, okay, everybody? And good morning. If you've just logged in, we're just starting this first class, which should be up on your screen now. If you can mute yourself to the right of your name on the participant panel, that'll block out any background noise. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We are recording this, so if you've missed anything at the beginning, you'll be able to catch up in the recording. And we're just working on our dandelion, so I'm going to hand it back over to Shannon.
This is what Grace has so far. Then we can just add a stem. So the cool thing about it is that the picture you see looks like a pipe cleaner, but not all of us have green pipe paint, markers, crayons, anything to create a stem for your dandelion. So we're going to do that next. I think we're going to use some paint. We may use glow in the dark. Might use glow in the dark. That would be cool. Well, there's glow in the dark.
That was the one from the painting, but
And as you guys are making your creations, remember, we're going to talk about this at the end, but we have an art contest coming up that everybody can participate in, and you guys have a leg up because you are working on your creations right now. So anybody across the U.S. who's a part of our MFS U.S. team and families that we support are going to be able to submit art to our art contest for the April is the Month of the Military Child, and everybody will be entered to win some prizes. So this is exciting.
Just give everyone a few minutes to finish up their stem, and we can move on to another one we have.
I hope that everybody's having a chance to work on their cotton ball and Q-tip dandelions, and I can't wait to see some of them at the end. Just so you know, as we get sort of to the end of the instructions, we'll give people a few minutes to continue, and then we're going to ask that you maybe place that particular craft to the side. Zero pressure, no stress. You can come back to it later, or you can keep going if one of the other crafts isn't something that you have supplies for, and you can work on it then. We don't want anybody to feel rushed or like they have to run right through everything. So you can always place something to the side, and we're going to come right back and keep giving you more instructional time, but we want you to have some creative time too. So I'll let Shannon finish up with the instructions and some things, but if you need, we'll give everybody an extra minute or so to finish up the part that they're working on before we move on to our next craft, okay? And if there's anybody who is having any trouble with one of the steps or was unclear, jump on, put your hand up, ask in the chat, and certainly one of us can help you out. Some of the creative ideas in the chat were they were thinking about maybe painting or coloring the Q-tips to make those different colors, which I thought was really cool. Yeah. And also you could create, you know, in the display there's like grass on the bottom. You could create that from something different or color that as well. Awesome. Shannon, did we go through all the instructions for that one?
Yes, I believe so.
Perfect. I'm just going to check the chat here one more time. And, oh, I'm loving that people are loving this virtual live craft time. I like this too. And, you know, so here's the thing, guys. If you guys are loving this kind of idea and your kiddos are loving it, and as parents you're thinking, this gets our creative juices flowing in a more directed way, give us that feedback either in the chat or reach out to your local MFSC so we can, you know, we can add this to our repertoire of things we can offer, especially during this time, okay? So with that, I think we're going to ask everybody to sort of finish up what they're working on, let the glue dry on their dandelions and their stems, put those to the side, and I think we'll move on to our next craft, but I'm just going to double check now. You can give me a green X or a red check okay, green check if you're good to go, red X if you need a second, and you can always put your hand up if you have any questions. All right, let's see. All right, I got lots of folks that are good to go. Perfect. So again, you just click the green check again to make that disappear. Abracadabra. And I'm going to advance our slide and we can look at what our next craft will be. So again, Shannon's going to talk us through this one. And I like to apparently just chitter-chatter a lot, so I'll come in and out as you guys are working just to make sure that everybody's doing okay.
Perfect. Thank you. So we are going to do dandelions using a fork. So you can use a little fork, one you have in the cupboard. We have yellow paint over here like the picture, but whatever color strikes your fancy, more than one color is fine. For the stem, I'm going to try with my kids to do the picture there. So basically kind of drawing a zigzag line and cutting it out to see kind of a cool stem like that. But you, again, can use anything. You can use paint, markers, crayons, whatever you want. So we are just going to first start with that stem and give that a try. So a good tip on that is just don't cut the edge that you folded because then it will be two pieces. So just keep it so that you can unfold it to look like a stem. That's the way you're going with it.
This is looking really good. This is one of my favorite crafts that we pulled together for the day. I put this in the chat, but I really like the idea of using stuff that, you could have at home. So if you don't have green paper, you can color it green. One of our friends who's on is using the fork to maybe potentially also using a different fork to make grass at the bottom. And so that's really fun. And I know that for some of us, we are able to do things a little more quickly. Some of us need a little bit more time. So we're really trying to just give enough time in the flow here for everybody to be able to figure out what they need and to craft along. Again, this will be recorded, so if we're running into something else that you have going on, feel free to come to pop out when you need to. We hope you can join us for the whole time, but understand people are needing to go in a lot of directions these days, so feel free to come in and go as you need to, okay?
We got one example of a stem here. We're just going to probably tape or glue that down to the paper. You can either do that now or you can wait till after the paper, whatever you prefer. Great.
Can we see yours when you've glued it down so we have an idea of what it looks like? Maybe Theo could show us, or I see Theo. Oh, is that Theo? No, that's Oliver.
Yeah, Oliver's behind.
Sorry, Oliver. You were sitting. I couldn't tell how tall you were.
Yeah, that was his that I showed. So this one's Grace's. So we're going to get that taped down.
Good job. So as you're taping or using glue, it'll determine the amount of time you need for something to dry. So if you're using white glue or a glue stick, it might need a little extra minute. But if you're using tape, that's awesome too. I think it's great to be able to scrounge up what we have around the house.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've seen a lot of you mention as you logged on here today that you are very crafty kids. So I think that we're probably using up a lot of craft supplies at home these days. Am I right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right, so we can just move on to the next step. So I have that yellow paint. Let me see if I can get it without spilling it. There you go. In the bowl, and the kids are just going to use the fork, get some paint on it, and have fun and be creative.
And so if you don't have yellow paint, I mean, yes, we visualize blooming dandelions as yellow, but I really like the idea of getting creative with your colors. If you have a favorite color, maybe pink or blue or orange are your favorite colors, you could do multicolored to make it look like almost like what is called fireworks. Lots of options here. So as you're doing that, if anybody wants to raise their hand as you come up with the colors that you're using, if you want to share, if you're using a different color, you can raise your hand, and I'd love to hear what colors everybody's using.
I have some good advice from Theo just now to his dad. Careful not to cut your fingers.
Yes, please don't cut your fingers. Oh, rainbow dandelions I'm seeing in the chat. Yeah, that would be very cool. I just love the idea of how creative we can get. And what other kinds of flowers, if you're thinking that we could possibly make out of our fork, type arrangements. Of course, today we're focused on the dandelion, but I'm sure we could create all kinds of different things with fork paint.
Wait, we got Theo's stem there you want to show.
Theo, that looks so good. Thank you for helping your mom today, everybody over there. Hi, guys. Awesome.
So we have a last minute creative change. We're going to do a blue dandelion here.
Ooh, awesome. That's exciting. And as you're creating your stuff too, if one of your creations is something you're really liking, then maybe that can be the one you guys choose to show us at the end for our little show and tell. And Tammy was sharing with us that one of her girls was using a fork to use green paint to do the grass at the bottom of the page potentially, or underneath the dandelion as well.
Good idea.
Yeah. And how's everybody feeling? Are we green checks if you're close to done? A red X is if you need a little more time. We don't want to rush anybody at all, for sure. Just want to be aware. And of course, you're gonna let our stuff dry so it stays nice and beautiful. And the cool thing about this too is I think once the paint was dry, you could even go in there with like a black marker or a colored pencil and then draw in more stems of the dandelion if you wanted. You could, I'm going to break out this word, parents, I apologize in advance. You could put a little bit of glue on there, make it glittery.
Do that even in the wet paint, you might be able to sprinkle.
Yeah. I know glitter is one of those things that we say with trepidation as parents. So many ways to make it your own and keep it creative. I love it.
We're going for a second color here, Grace. Like you said, we can be creative and make it your own.
Perfect. So I think I see people still working away on this. I know I hear in the other room of my house that a few are still working on theirs. If you're just about finished and you give me a green check, we'll give about another minute or so for folks to finish up the step that they're on and then make room for their next craft. We're going to try to keep this all into within about 45 minutes to an hour today, just to keep everybody's time in mind and attention span in mind. In the chat, if anybody wants to talk about sort of what else they've been up to besides crafting during this time at home, I like always sharing ideas with other parents and for kids to share ideas together on how they're staying busy. I know that it's not great weather everywhere, but hopefully everybody's getting a few opportunities to get outside in between all the crafting that they're up to. So Shannon, have we done all the steps for this one?
Yes, I believe so.
Thank you. We'll just give everybody another minute to wrap up what they're doing there.
Thanks, everyone. I look forward to seeing what you got so far at the end when we do our little show and tell.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. Oh, I like that. I'm just reading in the chat. Christina has been working on some logic puzzles. I know that here in our house, we've been trying to get outside on our bicycles. I do understand that not everybody's in bicycle weather yet, so that's not a California brag moment. That's it is what it is. It's been rainy here, so we're enjoying some nicer weather today. So bikes are in our future today. But I see so many of you have been out hiking or doing other things to keep busy and active, which is great. So if everybody wanted just to double check next to their name, if you have a red check, a red X or a green check up, I'll just get you to remove those for now. And we're going to advance forward. Oh my goodness, we even got snow-free streets in Alaska for biking. Good job. That's exciting. I love reading that. Bikes are such a great way to burn some energy. Okay. So as I'm just going to turn on my video here again, I am the next up to share with you today. So I'm going to advance my slide and talk to you about breaking out the paints and getting a little creative with some finger painting. So this particular craft that we're doing, I did my own this morning. I am not an artist, my friends. I love to be crafty, but I am definitely not a great artiste, so to speak, but I'm pretty proud of this one. So I painted this morning. It's a colorful dandelion, and I wrote make a wish on the bottom because I always think that you should make wishes on dandelions. So what you're going to do is you can take paper or canvas if you have one, and you're going to start by taking your blank slate, for lack of a better word, and you're going to draw out just the stem of a dandelion. So on the right-hand side, you can see how to draw dandelions. This is just a guide, okay? I like to start by making the little dot, and I'm going to just do this part with you guys, and you get to do the other painting piece on your own. So I like to start wherever you want to have your dandelion on the page, and start by putting a colored in dot there as the center of your flower. So I want my dandelion kind of to be to one side today. So I'm coloring my dot, I have a purple Sharpie. That's what I have with me, and I like purple, so I'm gonna go with it. So I've just colored in a little dot. That's it, very simple. And then as you can see in the next step, they're encouraging folks to create the stem. Makes sense, right? So I'm just going to put my Sharpie there, and I want my dandelion to come off the page a little bit, the stem. I don't really want to do grass for some reason today, and I just don't feel like it. So you can be as creative as you'd like. You can also do multiple dandelions. So I'm going to take my Sharpie, and I'm just going to draw kind of a wavy line off of my page, okay? So then what you can do after you've figured out where you want your dandelion or your dandelions and you've drawn those in, you can make a decision here on your own. Okay, you'll see in a lot of these examples, especially to the colorful one on the very far left of your screen with all the fingerprints, they've drawn in all of the little, and I'll show you mine again from this morning, they've drawn in all of these little other lines. Oh, I'm not very good at this. I don't know how the weather people do it when they point to the screen. They've drawn those lines in as sort of the other stems inside the flower. So you can go ahead and do that. What I did this morning before I used black paint on mine was I drew mine in pencil because I like to plan ahead and I wanted to see where I wanted them to go. So if you want to now, you can go ahead and draw in some of those lines, okay? Or you can leave it empty. That's entirely up to you. There's a few ways to do your fingerprints that might be of interest. My suggestion is that whatever paint you have, make sure it's going to wash off. Also make sure that you're wearing something that if it's not super washable off of your clothes, that your parents are going to be okay with that. I'm sure they thought of that ahead of this, but I should give you the heads up. So you can have as many colors as you'd like. You can choose one color. As you can see there on the blue backgrounded sheet, they've decided to do blue background with white dandelion fuzz. And I think that is a very traditional way to think about dandelions. They can be, that white fluffy stuff that you can blow into the air. And the reason that April is the month of the military child has the dandelion is that when you blow the dandelion fuzz everywhere, those little tiny seeds can flourish and be beautiful anywhere they go, just like our military kids. So that's the reasoning for the dandelion. So what I'd like you to think about is how you want to create your dandelion fuzz. That's what I'm going to call it today. I broke out my girls' paints this morning and literally just dabbed a little bit on a blank piece of paper. I had a newspaper flyer from the grocery store, and I just put some dabs of paint on that and got messy. So I took different fingers and dabbed them in different colors, and I went all over my page, okay? If you're a little bit more artistic, you can kind of wet the paint a little bit. It'll run a little bit more. It'll look like watercolor. You could use watercolor and have a really beautiful faded background. You could use your Q-tips from the earlier craft and dip those in all different colors and be really intricate and specific about where you put them. You could go in a pattern and start with, your rainbow colors and start on the inside with the beginning of the rainbow and work out in order of color. You can do as many things with as many different colors of paint or options as you'd like here, and I think that's the best part of this craft is that you get to get messy. I love finger paints. Give me a green check if you guys like finger paints. If you've already put your fingers in the paint, don't touch the buttons. Your parents might get upset. But I really love finger paints, and you know why I like finger paints as a grown-up? I like them because it allows me to be like a kid and get a little bit messy. Sometimes as parents, we're going behind trying to clean everything up all the time, but it is so much fun to get a little messy. So get your fingers in there. You can use all different kinds. Maybe you want to grab a little bowl of water next to you and some paper towels that you can wash your fingers in between as you add them on. I love the chat. Kids love finger paints and moms need to let go a little bit. I feel you. It's hard. You know what, when you grow up, folks, sometimes we get a little caught up in the technical bits, right? We want to, things need to be tidy and things need to be like that, but it's good for us moms and dads to let loose and get messy in those finger paints. So I might have to put a challenge out to my colleagues this week to make some finger-printed finger paints for the dandelion art. My colleagues on the line are probably going, oh dear. The other thing I thought about, and this picture in the middle with the green background, and the lady is holding the bathroom loofah sponge. What a cool idea. Don't go to your bathroom right now and steal mom's loofah. But if you have extra kitchen sponges or bathroom sponges or old toothbrushes, again, don't use your current toothbrush. But if you have old stuff lying around that would make cool patterns or designs, you could be making different flowers and dandelions all of the time with your crafting, as long as you have permission. So be really creative as you're creating these dandelions, and really it's a good opportunity for the older youth who are on, our kind of 9 to 12-year-olds too, to really find a way to express, your color interests, and you could create a beautiful piece that could maybe, for any of you, could go on, the wall of your bedroom if you're using a canvas. That kind of thing. So the other part I wanted to point out was in the How to Draw Dandelions piece there, you could just do a drawing with pencil and paper and really try to figure out how you want to draw this very detailed dandelion. And I love that they show you this little, it looks like a chicken foot or a Y all on its own there. And that's one little dandelion fuzz piece. And you could draw so many of those on a page off of a dandelion and have them floating off into the wind, or just make a few and keep it really basic. But I think it's a really neat way, another way to do this particular creative craft, because, we can get so specific on what we do, or we can get really creative and just go wild with it. So lots of different ways you can do this here, okay? How's everybody making out? Can you give me a green check if you're coming to the end of your creation, or a red X if you need more time? Okay, I'm seeing a few green checks, but a few red X's. I want to remind everybody as we're going today that we are going to be having an art contest. I might have mentioned this earlier, but we're having an art contest through MFS US. You can submit from anywhere you are, and we're going to be asking you to take photos of the artwork that you create, either whether it's the artwork you create with us today or you create on your own at home, that you can send in a picture to either, I'm going to put the email address up at the end, but you can send it to me directly, or to your local MFSC like Shannon or Tammy or Katrina or Melissa, and we'll be able to submit those all together into one group, and then we're just going to do a draw for prizes. So it's not about how good your drawing is, it's about the passion and the excitement and the creativity that you put behind it, okay? So that's exciting. And we're going to, ask that people submit one. So we're going to ask that you submit your favorite one. And then if you give us permission to do so, we're going to share those photos on our social media at the end of the month so people can all see how beautiful your artwork is, okay? So I'm going to give you another minute to finish up what you're working on. And if you're not quite finished, that's okay. I think I've given maybe too many ideas on how you can create dandelions here in this one little section. And I know for myself, I think my girls and I will be working on some more of these crafty sessions at home over the next week. Here in California, next week is our spring break, so we like to do crafts, and we may be expanding on this. And they're online right now listening with their dad in the other room, so they're probably writing that down to hold me to it. And for anybody who's just about finished and wants to share any comments on how they're creating their dandelion canvas or painting in the chat, you can go ahead and do so. I'm just reading that Serena is drawing a dandelion with a pencil, and she's also using paint to make the sky and the sun and the grass with the fork. So hello, merging, lots of things we've learned from the different crafts we've done this morning. Another thing I was just thinking of is you could take one of those cotton balls also from the first craft and use that to make fuzz. You could even pull it apart and try to glue that on. The possibilities, friends, are endless. So in just about a minute, I'm going to pass this over to my colleague, Melissa. And it's not to rush anybody. I want you to feel like you can come back to this as we go. And the next project needed some very specific, more than the other project, needed more specific pieces of the puzzle to work with. So you can follow along with Melissa if you do have this stuff. If not, this will be part of the recording. And when you get those supplies, you'll be able to do this again at home, okay? So don't feel like you can't participate in this one at all. You'll get it in the recording, and then it gives you an opportunity to be finishing up your other projects if you don't quite have the supplies for this one. And I love that Riley loves using her fingers. It is such a great way to be creative. I love that. I absolutely love it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to pass this over to my friend Melissa from Tinker, and she's going to talk to us about string art and creating a dandelion through string art. And we're already about 40 minutes into our program here today, and I'm so excited. I think everybody's having a great time. So Melissa, are you with me there?
I'm ready to go.
Awesome. I'm going to advance the slide. Again, don't panic. Either keep working if you don't have the string art stuff with you, or just put it to the side and you'll get to work on it again later at home, I'm certain. All right, Melissa, I'm going to send this over to you, and I'm going to turn off my camera and mute myself for the time being, okay?
Okay. So welcome, everybody. So we're going to try out some string art today. And I don't know if anybody has done this before. I tried out one last week, and it was actually my first time doing this, I think, since I was a child. And it was fun to get crafty and creative and try it out. So I'm going to show you, this is still unfinished, but I'm going to show you what I've been up to. Okay, so what I've done with this one is I've painted a piece of wood, and then I've started in on the string art. I still have to take off. I used it and I did my pattern in under, and I'm still pulling that and then pulling my strings up to the tips of my nails. And I'm going to show you what I did to create this. So first of all, I just have a piece of plain wood here today. And I use this pattern, which I just found online. I just put in string art patterns, and that's up on your screen there. What I did, and you'll see it here, is that I put the piece of paper on my wood, and I just secured that where I wanted to put my dandelion. And you can size it down or you can size it up. I will say the smaller you go, the harder it is. It's a little more intricate. If you do a bigger pattern, it gives you more room to get your fingers in between those nails. So as you can see here, hopefully, what I've done is put the nails in with the pattern underneath so that I know exactly where to do it. If you're really good at drawing, you could draw your own dandelion if you'd like. It's totally up to you. You can find a pattern online. You can just look at the pattern and draw it out. You can use a compass and draw out your circles. Basically, all you need is a dot in the center with 3 circles around, spaced out. So,
Melissa, sorry, Melissa,
yeah.
I'm just going to interrupt. It's Michelle. Do you have the link to this particular pattern at home?
I do, and I can send that out to everybody when we send out the recording.
Thank you so very much. I just wanted to make sure everybody has the opportunity to do this. Your example that you just showed was gorgeous, so I think people are going to want to know what you did.
For sure, yeah. So the big thing with putting the nails in, if you do use the pattern, or if you don't, if you want to draw out those circles and then just put the nails in yourself, is in the first, so the innermost circle and the outermost circle, you want to make sure the nails line up. The middle circle, that second one, you want to offset. So if I put nails 1 and 3 here, I want to do the second one off a little bit, and then I'm going to go around offsetting those middle ones. Okay, so we can pull that piece of paper off. I would suggest taking that paper off before you start crafting and just having your pattern or your ideas in your head of how you want to go. Honestly, when I did this one, I left the pattern on until I had it all strung, and it was very hard to take the paper out from underneath. So that would be my learning from this. So you can see here I've done, I don't know if you can see very well, so I've done the green one already. And there's all different types of materials you can use. You can use a roll of yarn or wool. You can use twine or string that you have at home. What I used was embroidery floss, and again, any colors, it doesn't really matter, whatever you have, whatever is fun and exciting to you. Honestly, from doing this myself, I would say you can't go wrong. So you tie your string on to one nail where you're going to start. So I started here. I would suggest going down from the head of the nail a bit, because what's going to happen is as you keep going, you're going to have to go around some of the nails multiple times. So if you start low and then at the very end, you'll push it all up to the tip of the nails. So you just start and you string around and you just loop it. So with those circles then at the top, I have another color here, which I don't know if you can see it very well. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by going up to my outside circles. And you have to pull tight. Okay, so you're going to go down, you're going to come back always to the center part of your dandelion. Always pulling very tight. So I would suggest going your first and your third circles first. And going all the way around. Back down to that middle one again. Circle it around, up to that third one, and back down. Okay, can everybody see that okay? I hope so. Just give me a red check if you can't see kind of what I'm doing there. Okay, when you get that done, you have two options. You can tie that off, and that can be your bottom layer, or you can just string around and keep going. And when you go up to the top, then you can start doing sorry, it's hard to see with my hand in there. You can start doing some W or M type patterns up and down, those middle ones. Up and down, up and down. So from the middle down to that inner number one circle again. And you just keep going. So I only put in so many of the nails so that it would be easier to see, but if you were doing this yourself, you would do those circles all the way around. So for me, I did a couple of those little fluffs coming out, and then I did the rest of the circle around. Then when I got to the very center, I just did some circles around and around the nails to make that kind of centerpiece. And you just keep going and you keep stringing, and you can add colors, you can add shapes or textures by using different materials, whatever you like, and it just kind of...
So Melissa, for the little fluffs, they didn't, obviously they don't come back to the other middle one. You just created like the end piece, right?
Separate pieces, yep. So just tied off on one of the ends and then did the little fluffs and came back and just tied those off separate.
Perfect, that's very cool.
So it's kind of something you have to do on your own at home, but that's the idea. Because you kind of have to find that space where you can go and start hammering.
Yes, and make sure you have a parent helping you if you're one of our older friends who might be excited to get started on this, or one of our younger friends. Please make sure you have supervision and permission.
The big one. So once you might want to have even a parent, depending on your age, if you wanted to do something like this, have a parent or an older sibling do those nails for you, and then you do the actual stringing. And like I say, you can be fun, you can get creative, you can use colors. I used embroidery floss. There's usually 6 together, and you can just take those, you can mix them up and have rainbow colors, and just, because I used 6 to get this kind of an effect. So
the more the fluffier, right?
The fluffier it is. And there's one of my little guys joining in, asking me for things.
Hey, buddy.
Okay, in a minute. So basically you can add those colors, you can take the colors and mix them together, you can do whatever you want. And if you do a bigger piece like this, you can then put something here. You can put a little thing like make a wish, or you can put your kids' names. Children doing it themselves, they can put their names. Here you could put month of the military child, anything at all that you would like to do.
What a great idea. And so Melissa, would you advise that if folks are starting this at home that they paint their board first?
Absolutely. So that's what I started out, and I had some chalk paint.
Okay.
So I just used that and painted over the board, let it dry for a day or so, and started putting my nails, and then got going with my string. And like I say, with the string, you can't go wrong. Just find a pattern that works for you. You can do all of the big long ones first on their own, and then come back and do the ones around the top, and it'll add layers and effects and dimension to your art piece.
That's excellent. And I think what we'll do when we send out an after session email with the recording, we'll also include maybe a basic how-to. Maybe there's a great YouTube or a great tutorial that we can find to attach. So, because I know this is a huge project, but I thought it was really a great one to share.
This one will take you a little bit of time. I think for me, after it was painted, putting the nails in was probably a half-hour, 40-minute project.
Yep.
And then doing the string art itself probably took me a good hour or more. And I'm still working on it and just bringing those strings up to the tops of the nails to the point where I'm happy with it. So it's still a work in progress for me as well.
I think it's really nice. Yeah, I think it's really nice to have some craft projects that are super easy to pump out, especially for our littles. But at the same time, what a great family project if you guys, can think about that as we go through these things as opportunities to connect and disconnect from our technology and connect as a family to create these little projects. Maybe one of your children isn't as crafty and they'd like to find the quote that we're going to put on there, or maybe somebody helps pick the paint color. There's lots of ways to get involved. So I think with this bigger project, what a cool opportunity to really work together as a team, as a family, or individually. Awesome. Thanks, Melissa, so much for sharing that. So as we're getting ready to wrap up here already, can you imagine we're almost an hour into this? I'm going to hop back onto the video so you can see me for a moment, because I think it's important for us to have some face time, especially when we're all staying safe at home. So what I'm going to get you to do is, if you're still listening now, which I hope you are, I'm going to share with you some other things that are coming up here with MFS US for our April is the Month of the Military Child. And as I'm talking through those, if you guys who are listening and have been creating with us today want to pick one of the projects you are working on, I'm going to run through the list and call on you by your registration name or your attendee name here, so it might be your parent, to see if there's anything anybody wants to share. So if you do want to share, at that time, you can unmute yourself, turn on your camera, and share a piece of art with us, okay? So get those ready. So what's coming up next for April is the Month of the Military Child? Well, across the nation and across North America, next Wednesday, April 15th, is Purple Up for military kids. So we are going to send a wave of purple across the U.S. and across Canada, and we're going to show our military kids some love that day by wearing purple in their honor. And if you do participate in Purple Up Day, which I really hope you do, please feel free to send us your Purple Up pics. You can send those to myself at mfs.vandenberg at cfmws.com, or to Joanna, our virtual coordinator. You can find all of our email addresses on our website at castconnection.ca/United States, or reach out to the person who is attached to you in your community. So whether it be myself or Melissa or whoever, just find a way to send us your Purple Up pics. What a way to celebrate our kids even when we're practicing physical distancing. And then, of course, I've mentioned this earlier. Thank you, Tammy, for sharing those in the chat, those email addresses. I showed this earlier, but we are having our art contest. So again, that's a way to submit a photo of your artwork to be entered into the art contest. It's open to all of our military youth this month, and we'll be drawing at the end of the month. It's a random draw, so it's not based on artistic ability, but just participation. So we look forward to receiving those. You could send those submissions to either your local MFSC or one of those email addresses that we shared in the chat as well. And then next weekend, on April 18th, we're going to host some meetups for military kids. So you can meet other military kids just like you who are from all over the U.S. and Canada, potentially, depending on where they're at. And I didn't post all of the particulars on there, but it is on our website, and there's going to be a different timing for preschoolers, school-age kids, and some of our older youth. And we're going to be doing story time with some of our littles. We're going to be offering a show and tell opportunity for our school-age kids, and even possibly working on the ideas that we could build around making a time capsule with our older youth. So we hope to see you guys back on here next weekend to meet up with some of the kids around the country who are just like you. Okay, so that's what's coming up next. Again, we just want to thank all of our military kids for coming on today. You guys are incredible and strong and amazing, and we adore you today in the month of April and every day. Okay, not just this month. So if anybody is ready to share, I'd like to reach out to Andrea Kenward and family to see if anybody on her end would like to share. Got a green check. So whenever you're ready, Andrea, you can turn on your camera and share with us, or unmute even as well.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
This is Brielle, and she did some poppy, it's a little bit creative. And she did some, sorry, dandelions. I keep calling them poppy. Dandelions. Can I talk about it?
That is so beautiful.
I love tie-dye it. I love it outside.
She did.
That is awesome. I'm so glad you shared that with us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for joining. All right. So we're going to move down the list. And Cynthia, does your family have something they'd like to share? I'll give you a second. There we go. And whenever you're ready to share, Cynthia, you just need to make sure you're unmuted and talk as you're sharing so we can see you. Not quite seeing you, Cynthia. Maybe send me a chat and we'll see if we can get you up and running here in a sec. Let's try Gina. Are you able to share?
Hi. Yeah. Just 1 second. Let me turn my camera on. There we go. Okay, this is Isla, and she wants to show you.
I'm not sure if we're seeing you yet.
Oh, you're not. Hang on 1 second. There, it should be now.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Oh, look at you. Way to go.
What is it, Isla? Do you want to tell?
I made it it's a dandelion.